minutes. I now recognize Ms. Scholten, my good friend from Michigan and the former ranking member of this committee, for 5 minutes.
Wonderful. Though I've moved on to a different ranking position, I'm still honored to be a part of this fine committee. When the government contracts directly with small businesses, there are some things they can do only when the small business is a subcontractor. One of the ways Congress has encouraged fair treatment and proper utilization of small businesses that subcontract with larger primes is to include certain criterias in the prime contractor's past performance ratings. The most important of these criteria, I bet everyone would agree, is did the contractor make timely payments and whether they met their subcontracting goals. Ms. Tellier, my first question is for you. How important are those accountability mechanisms for small business subcontractors?
It's critical. The example that I used with Congressman Tran, we have to get paid. I can't wait 90 days to receive almost $250,000 from the government. I also can't do that with the prime contractors. The example that I use, by the way, is a little atypical. My government agencies usually pay me in a more timely manner than the prime contractors do. It would also be helpful if we had an understanding of how those ratings affected our customers who were prime contractors. So if I'm a sub under somebody and I have the option of subbing under two different companies, I'm probably going to take the one that on a dashboard would reflect they cared about me enough to pay me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Very helpful. Question 2, currently federal law requires that contracts under a certain amount be automatically set aside for a small business only competition. And yet a surprising amount of spending under that threshold is not awarded to small firms. The reason for which is still unclear. It's something we are trying to get to the bottom of. Some have pointed to things like software licenses and other products or services that can't be purchased via a small business. I have submitted an amendment to the NDAA that can get to the bottom of this issue and ensure that this spending is making its way to the small business as intended by federal law. Very pleased that it made it into the final round. Ms. Tellier, again, coming to you, can you talk a little bit about how small businesses utilize contracts under the SAT and why it's important to ensure that those opportunities are going to small businesses as intended?
Absolutely. The simplified acquisition threshold allows me to kind of fill my pipeline that is outside of my larger contracts. So the BPAs or IDIQs that I have that are larger are wonderful for predictability and stability, but the stuff under the simplified acquisition threshold allows me to grow too. So if it's a $240,000 opportunity, I would like that to go to small businesses. I've been at this a while, right? So as a company who's 18 years old now, I can still remember what the early days of trying to win my first contracts were like, and those were all under the SAT. And so for companies that are just emerging into the federal marketplace, and we want them to stay, and we want them to grow, and we want their innovations, and we want their engagement, we have to make sure that they feel welcome, and those under SAT contracts really allow them to do that.
Thank you. You know, this is not about giving a disadvantageous priority to the underdog. It is about making sure that our more nimble small businesses can actually compete in this space, which is what we want. The competition ensures we're getting the best quality product and the lowest potential price. It's good for business. It's good for national security. I see that you maybe wanted to weigh in or had some additional thoughts. I'd love to hear. I was going to toss it down that way.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm just very engaged. But using the 240K example, I would challenge any large business how they're going to manage their overheads so that it's actually cost effective and best cost for the government.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. My last question in my last minute, and we'll stick with you, Ms. Tellier. In your testimony, you mentioned that a small fraction of the dollars counted towards the women-owned small business goal are through WASB contracts. Instead, the majority of those contracts are open competitions, with WASB competing against other small businesses or sometimes large businesses and winning that work. I thought that was a really important point that was worth revisiting. What can we do to ensure agencies are using these tools as intended and bringing in more women-owned small businesses to compete for contracts, not necessarily automatically be granted them?
That's a great question. I think there's an educational component both on the side of industry and the side of government. Contracting professionals have a huge administrative burden, and each of the socioeconomic programs are different. The WASB program is the only one that's NAICS limited. They each have their quirks. Making sure that contracting professionals understand that they can, and when they can, set contracts aside keeps us competing. It keeps us in the pool. And then, making sure that industry is educated well so that they can beat their large counterparts, which I like to do.
Thank you. We appreciate it so much, and thank you for your comments too, sir. I yield back.